Holy shit. Kubo, please. What the... This chapter is like the best thing. Seriously, this is absolutely crazy. This is easily my... I'm just going to get this out of the way now, before the intro, before anything. This is my favourite chapter since Aizen coming back, but this is probably even better than that, just because it's so much more... Because Aizen came back and then it hasn't really done anything yet. This is freaking crazy. Oh my... Right. What's up, guys? It's Manga time once again. I'm here to bring you my review of Bleach 664, The Gift. And this is a gift, Kubo. This is a gift from the gods. Seriously. This fight is everything I wanted so far, and it's only been going a chapter, but Urahara versus Askin has to continue. Right. Oh my god, okay. Let's get going. We get Urahara's fucking Bankai in this chapter. I just skipped to the end there. I did just skip to the end, but oh my god. Okay. Calm, composed. Let's start the review. So, we basically get Askin, obviously emerging from the Gift Ball Deluxe. And he says, you know, oh, a Reiatsu that changes 48 times a second. You know, in other words, I'm absorbing 48 different types of Reiatsu patterns every second. And he's kind of like, oh, and he's like, you know, basically in my Vollstandig, if I can spend 1 second without attacking and only receiving attacks, I'll have been exposed to all 48 types of different patterns. So it's kind of cool because he is able to overcome Yoruichi. Yoruichi is out of this fight now. She is not coming back. And this promises now, I think, to be Urahara versus Askin, which is incredibly exciting, if you haven't worked that out yet. And can I just say that Askin looks so cool in his Vollstandig? Like, at the end of last week, I was kind of like, yeah, he looks alright. I need to see it better, though. And I've seen it better, and he looks awesome. His wings are awesome. His fucking visor is so cool. Oh, my God. Right, anyway. He then says, you know, all that's left after that is analysing and developing the immunity, which is only a matter of time, really. And Urahara is genuinely scared. And he's, like, really shocked, and this is awesome. Now, this is interesting. Urahara goes to reach into his pocket, and I don't know if he's preparing... I don't know if he's preparing to revive Yoruichi in this moment, because Askin... I don't know if what Askin says is countering Urahara putting his hand in his pocket. Askin's like, oh, now, you know, there may still be other ways to change one's Reiatsu, but that's all moot now. You know, in order to ensure that we end this without you having to waste any more of your time... And this is purely from the kindness of my heart, I'm going to share with you the properties of my Vollstandig. So, I think this is Askin's response to Urahara moving to do something else with Yoruichi. But anyway, Askin then says, you know, my Vollstandig, Hasshain, adapts to the changes in the properties of the poison. And he looks awesome. Although I have to admit, the Vollstandig has actually undergone some art changes since the end of last week. Kubo maybe just thought he didn't like the way it looked, but Askin no longer has the molecular belt thing going around his waist, which to be fair was a little bit unnecessary anyway. His arms have also changed. He no longer has the weird hands. Like when he first transformed, he had dots on each of his joints. That's gone now, and he has regular nails again. I think everything else is the same. He's still got the dots on his abdomen. I think he's got circles on his arms, but I can't see. I'll have to look in later on when we actually see him again. But he then explains his Vollstandig. For some reason, he's explaining absolutely everything, and he says, you know, no matter how much the surface layer of the poison changes, as long as the base remains the same, the immunity acquired will adjust as well and render the poison instantaneously ineffective. So again, it's incredibly convenient. It conveniently stops Yoruichi's convenient ability. But I don't care, it's Askin. Askin's awesome, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I'm biased, I don't care. I'm a reader just like everyone else, and Askin is awesome, and Yoruichi is cool, but she's not Askin, so... Anyway, you know, he says to... okay, I will admit, this got me concerned, and I will talk about the possible long-term ramifications of this chapter. So Askin says, you know, was that too much of a long-winded explanation? Hopefully that didn't go over your head. And he says, from here on out, no matter how much you or her try to change your respective Reiatsu, neither of you were able to land a single scratch on me. That's getting dangerously arrogant. Dangerously arrogant. I will admit, I was reading most of this chapter just thinking to myself, like, please don't turn into a rambling maniac like almost every other Sermiter has. And then Askin's like, now then, surely there are more surprises, Urahara Kisuke. There's no way you've exhausted every trick up your sleeve. And as he says this, these big circles appear in the sky, and we get a very freaking awesome title page of Askin standing there like this, with his wings out, and then these massive, like, pillars of light come down behind him, and he says, and you've played all your cards already. So Askin's looking awesome as fuck in this chapter, but he's getting dangerously arrogant, but so far he's reading it in, and he says something in a minute that makes me, less worried. So the orbs in the sky form one gigantic molecular kind of structure, and it looks really cool. And Urahara's like, oh crap. And Askin says, don't look so surprised, this is just to be on the safe side. And I think what he's doing is he's fusing this ability with his Gift Ball Deluxe. So he says he's set up a Beireich, which I think is just German for border. It says I've set up a Beireich border, but I think that's... I don't actually know. I don't know, because I remember the Schatten Beireich was like the shadow domain. So actually maybe it's the domain. I don't know. Either way, it doesn't really matter. The ability is called Gift Beireich, which apparently means Deadly Poison Domain, which is an awesome name. And basically what it is, I think, is he's just made it so it's impossible to leave the Gift Ball Deluxe. That's what I think is happening. So he's created this poison dome that you can't escape from. And then we get the line that, makes me feel a bit better about the way he was acting. He's like, I'm not a fan of using really tough sounding words. Guys who merely talk the talk just come off as jittery, they're all bark and no bite. And he's like, I want to look like the real deal, so I try to come across as perpetually calm and composed. So this is basically Askin once again being genre savvy, is giving the middle finger to every Sternritter so far that has gone like, I'm the most powerful, I'm immortal, I'm God, I'm divine, all this sort of shit. He's basically saying, if you say that kind of crap, you're pathetic, really. I don't want to do that. So it is Kubo again acknowledging the difference he has made with Askin in terms of the Sternritter's ranks. And any reader who has read Bleach like I have for so long, I was sitting here thinking, Urahara hasn't said a word yet. So is he planning something? And I must say it's very refreshing to see Urahara doesn't actually have anything planned, which we'll get into later. Askin then says, breaking out of the Gift Beireich is absolutely impossible. Oh my god, this interaction between them is so good. So Urahara says, if you wanted us to stay so badly, all you had to do was ask. That's an interesting line, because to me, that sounds like Urahara is saying, I'll work with you, if you want to work with us. Askin then says, right, do I look that dumb to you? We're enemies after all. And I have to say that Askin looks like a complete diva in that panel. He's like, do I look that dumb to you? But I'm pretty sure I could say this is I called it moment, because I've said, and lots of us have said, to be fair, that Askin has come across as being very different from the other Sternritter in that his loyalty might not lie entirely with Yhwach, and it doesn't. It doesn't. Urahara says, how do I put this? It doesn't exactly look to me as though you're acting out of pure loyalty. Your heart definitely isn't fully committed to this. And Askin's like, how very presumptuous of you, if it's pure loyalty that you want, I'm saturated in it more than a dog, basically. He's saying he is a loyal dog, but then he basically kind of backtracks on himself. And he says, but your assessment isn't exactly off base. It's true there's much more to this whole story. The truth is, His Majesty interests me. And I just want to, once again, thank you, Kubo, because Askin has a motivation. He's a villain with his own agenda. This just doesn't get any better than this. It doesn't get any better than this chapter. Seriously, this is just brilliant character interaction right now. To be fair, these two were always going to have a great conversation. They were always going to have a great conversation, and they do have a great conversation. And basically, we get to find out Askin's motivations. But we also, through Askin, finally, I think, get to find out Yhwach's motivation. Because he's never explicitly said it, but I'm pretty sure Askin is giving it to us right now. Askin then says, does it come across off as very haughty of me to declare such a thing? But that's not what I meant. And then he says, the real world, Huecomundo and Soul Society, annihilating all three worlds and trying to make something of it after the destruction. Is there anyone basically crazy enough to attempt this other than Yhwach? And Askin says, if hypothetically I sided with you and helped you take down Yhwach, is anyone like him ever going to come along again? And it's not that Askin follows Yhwach. He doesn't follow Yhwach out of a zealous loyalty like the rest of them. He follows Yhwach purely out of his own interest. He has no loyalty to Yhwach, but he wants to see what the king will do with the world. And it's actually a genuinely, surprisingly sinister motivation. I'm not going to lie. Askin is more evil, or not necessarily evil, but kind of more fucked up than I thought he was. Which doesn't lend his survival chances very well. But he then says to Urahara, he's like, Urahara Kisei, you're a wise, well-informed person. You have the face of a man who has seen all there is to see in this world. In that case, can you see where I'm coming from? Then we get this really fucking awesome picture of Askin, just like a close-up of his face, where he's like, whatever his majesty will create after destroying these three worlds, aren't you the tiniest bit curious to see it too? And it's interesting because the Quincy haven't really had a scientist. Obviously, the Shinigami have Miuri, and then the Hollows have Zale. And I guess is Kubo, because Askin also came up against Miuri, if you remember. And I don't know if maybe Kubo is painting Askin as not the scientist, because he's not really, although he has got the whole molecular thing going on. But the what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of, the thinker of the group. He's the one who's thinking outside the box here. He is interested in seeing this new world that Yhwach will bring. He doesn't hate the Shinigami. He doesn't love the Quincy. He doesn't love Yhwach like most of them do. Like Kang Do is like, I will only allow myself to be killed by Yhwach. No, Askin doesn't care about any of that shit. Like we all pretty much thought. He wants to see what world Yhwach will bring. That does, of course, mean that Askin is fine with everyone dying, which is what I mean by him being more sinister than I expected. But I love that Kubo's giving him a motivation. Thank fuck for that. Like, seriously. Oh my god. That's just awesome. Urahara then flips out, which is cool, and he tries to basically cut Askin's head off, I think. Askin manages to jump backwards. And something else is very cool is that whenever Askin leaves a step, he leaves a molecular pattern. So that's nice, that's cool. And he's like, oh my, you can still move so with such agility. That's an impressive feat in the gift by Reich. And Urahara's like, I'm afraid I'm not the least bit interested in this. And Askin's like, oh, that's a shame. And he's like, oh, so sure you'd see eye to eye with me on this matter. And Urahara's like, if it were Kurosachi Miuri, you might have found a cohort who shared your demented vision. Urahara thinks that maybe Miuri would be interested in seeing what new world came about. But, Urahara is obviously more noble than that. It's interesting that Askin's like, Miuri, huh? So I don't know why he says that. Is it just a nod to the fact that they once confronted each other, like 100 chapters ago? Or is it just a throwaway thing? I don't know. But Urahara then says, however, by no means would that have meant that he desired to see whatever Yhwach is thinking of creating. Then we get a close-up picture of Urahara. He's actually sweating as well, which is very cool to see. It's very cool to see Urahara like this. And he's like, if something that no one has ever seen before is about to be created, he's the type of individual who would want to create that blank canvas with his own two hands. That's what it means to be a true scientist. You want to create rather than just watch and be a bystander. I think this is Urahara really driving the nail into Askin. This is like a big fuck you, I think, to Askin. He's like, he's like, rather than you, who would just rather sit there and, watch it happen, Miuri would want to create it. And I'm not going to lie, maybe Urahara is thinking the same thing. He obviously just isn't going to say it, but Urahara is... there's no maybe about it. He's almost certainly thinking the same thing, because Urahara is a true scientist. But yeah, he's kind of laying the verbal smackdown on Askin. Askin sort of takes it well. Like, look, this is when, again, when I turned over to this page, I was like, oh no, please don't go crazy. Please don't go crazy. Luckily, he doesn't yet, but it's showing definite signs of psychosis. He's definitely a bit mental. He does this kind of crazy smile that seems to sort of come out of nowhere, like a slasher smile, and then he's like, oh, I see, that's actually a pretty damn good answer. So again, he's not being like super arrogant or anything like that. I think it's a clash of ideals. It's a clash of ideals. He then breaks off his wristband thing, and he's like, that said, I long to see His Majesty's creations. and he lifts his hand up into the air, and he uses an ability called Gift Ring. That his wristband thing grows massive. But before I move on to that next page, I just want to address that clash of ideals again. I think it's not a case of Askin, going crazy or anything like that. It's just Urahara doesn't want what he wants, and he doesn't want what Urahara wants. They are on opposite sides, and Askin's ideology conflicts with Urahara's, and they've kind of realised that. And it sort of seems like no matter what Urahara says to him, he still wants to see what Yhwach will create, and to that end he'll help him do it. I still think somewhere inside there is a chance that Askin could be coerced, convinced otherwise, that it doesn't have to be like this, that the world they've already got is interesting enough. There's still plenty to see in the world. Seriously, what a great character. KUBO has, we've all said this before, that Askin has appeared kind of bored with the world, and now that's true. He wants to move. He wants to see what's next. And yeah, that's just super interesting. But anyway, he uses the ability Gift Ring, which is actually super weird. He puts his hand up in the air, and the ring becomes enormous, and he just kind of throws it at Urahara like a frisbee. Urahara, the ring rushes towards him, and it disappears. And this is just it's very, very refreshing seeing Urahara take on an opponent that he doesn't know how to beat. Because rather than I think you could be forgiven for thinking, as the gift ring approaches him, he'd just burst and it'd be like the inflatable Giga or something. Not this time. This is the real deal. So the ring disappears, and it reappears in his freaking eye. That is actually quite gross. KUBO, that is kind of gross. You're not giving the anime a good time if it ever comes back. So the ring actually fucking is piercing his eye, that's the word, and then it bursts it. That is disgusting, but really cool. So his eye pops and blood comes flying out of it, obviously. And Askin's the gift ring is extraordinarily strong and only used on the troublesome ones whom the death dealing doesn't work too well on. This is how it works. I don't know why he explains it again, but the gift ring appears to be his more offensive capabilities rather than, because the death dealing is obviously a bit kind of tricksy. He then explains that, the gift ring focuses all of death dealing's potency into one focal point, pinpointing it on the part of the body that currently bears the piercing and forces an instant death. So he's instantly killed Urahara's eye, essentially. He's completely destroyed it. So rather than, because obviously the death dealing takes a very long time to work, the gift ring does it immediately. But it's not like a body killer. I imagine if he'd got his arm with it, it would have probably destroyed his arm or something like that. But anyway, Askin's I'm sorry, but you're just way too strong. I can't lower the lethal dose, and nor will I just nullify all this. In this light, mutilating your organs one by one is the only option you've left me, and with it your demise. So Askin is resolved to kill Urahara. And unfortunately, judging by the way KUBO's taken this, I imagine it's the same the other way. Askin's chances of survival have dropped with this chapter. But if KUBO makes this a super long and interesting fight, then he's forgiven. But judging by the end of this chapter, I'm not sure. Anyway, we get to see Urahara, and there's blood dripping from the other side of his face, which is weird. He's got blood dripping from both sides. And then he says, "Don't say I didn't warn you," although I don't actually remember him warning him about anything. And he goes freaking Bankai. Seriously, he's going Bankai way earlier and faster than I thought he would. It's literally been one chapter of him fighting Askin. But whatever, I don't care. We've been waiting for this moment for so freaking long. We've been waiting for this moment ever since that Yoruichi said that Urahara used the 3-day training method to get his Bankai, and then we've been waiting for it ever since Urahara told Renji that his Bankai wasn't capable of training people, and now it's finally here. We have been reading Bleach for years, weekly for years, and this is one of the things we have waited so long for. And it looks really cool. It looks really cool. My immediate impression is that this is awesome. It's called Guanyin Biraki Benehime Atarame, and it means something along the lines of it means something along the lines of the Crimson Princess opening the doors to something or other. It's got a lot of Buddhist themes behind it. Urahara's kneeling on the floor, and his Bankai takes the shape of this massive doll woman, who one would assume is Benihime. That would be really awesome. But she is a doll. You can tell by the way her arms look. She's got joints up here and a joint there that looks like her arms are made of wood. But other than that, there's not a whole lot really going on here. She's got a funky hairstyle with very long hair that's like running over her arms and stuff. I'd really like a colour page week. I'd really appreciate a colour page soon, because we haven't had one in a very long time. That'd be very nice. If we got this in colour and maybe a bit of Askin as well, that'd be very nice. But yeah, very, very hyped to see this. Now, something interesting someone said on the forum is the way it is leaning over Urahara, it's quite reminiscent of Mayuri's Bankai. Did Mayuri see Guanyin Biraki and be like, I'm going to make my Bankai similar to that? I think that's quite interesting. Other things to point out, what is the Bankai going to do exactly? Well, the whole opening doors thing makes me think it might be a one-hit kill, which I'm not going to lie, I would be kind of disappointed. If this thing one-shots Askin next week, that's actually the worst possible scenario. If it destroys Askin in one hit. Although, if it kills him in one hit, then KUBO makes good on his I can't really use it to train you with, because, you know, how could you if it killed you in one hit? So, yeah. Interesting. The Bankai looks awesome. I'm very happy to see a big physical manifestation again after, because I was kind of hoping for that from Shunsui. Obviously, we didn't get it. But Shunsui's Bankai is still cool, but, you know, this looks like it might actually be awesome. My immediate thought on Shunsui's Bankai was this is a little bit underwhelming. So far, this one I'm thinking looks awesome. It could also be bone. She could also be made out of bone. I think wood is more likely, but she could be made out of bone. But either way, she looks really cool. Oh man, what a roller coaster ride. Well, that's the end of the review of the chapter. Obviously, it's a 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5, there is literally no doubt. I enjoyed this chapter so much. I was on the edge of my seat. I was absolutely loving the interaction between Urahara and Askin. Askin is a great character with really cool, interesting ideologies and motivations, and Urahara, you know, is the kind of character who can question that. And then to top it off, he goes Bankai. Like, seriously. Lots of cool abilities showcased in this week's chapter. Just really exciting. Really fucking exciting. I don't have much more to say than that. This review's already gone for like 23 minutes, so super hyped. Please let me know in the comments below, what do you think of Benihime's Bankai, because it looks honestly really exciting. What do you think of this chapter as a whole, and what do you think of Urahara and Askin's dynamic? What do you think of Askin's motivations to want to see what Yhwach is going to create from the new world? And finally, do you think Askin's going to die? And do you think he's going to die next week? Is he going to die next week? Let me know in the comments below. Yeah, other than that though, guys, please subscribe if you like the review. I kind of went a bit fanboy, I'm not going to lie, but I don't care. It's very exciting. Yeah, leave me a thumbs up. That'd be great. But until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Oh my god, KUBO.